Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Mohsen Paul Sarfarazi, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of a program that we like to call it the paper recital. And as you know, or you probably have watched some of these, is that we have an individual reciting the paper, and that is most interesting to them, or they have questions, and then I'm available here to, answer any questions, have any discussions that they like. Today we have with us Elizabeth O Connell, and she's back with us, and she's going to read the second part of the paper on Melchizedek, which deals with ascension, actually the process of negating ascension or false ascension. And so far there are 3 papers in that series. I might consider writing more. I had planned, but I got into other things. And this particular one, part 2, is on the astral plane. So it talks about the soul recycling, and it's very, very important to know what's been happening on our planet and what these negative aliens have been doing to us, okay? So anyway, let me just quickly, very briefly again, tell you where you can find this paper, and then we will give the screen or the podium, so to speak, to our Liz, who's doing a fine job and is a very helpful lady. And then I will back when she's ready to have a discussion with me again. So anyway, here it is. Again, this paper is called Negative Aliens Reverse Consciousness. Oh, this is, let me actually show you the actual paper. This is a list of the papers that the negative aliens stuff is there. Last time she recited this one, and now she's going to recite this paper. Part 2, the astral plane connection. Okay, so again, you can find this in here. By the way, you can always Google my name. It's so easy to get to these things. They're on WordPress.com. And once you get any paper, you have this menu system up there that says papers on whatever. And if you click, just as I had it on this one, for example, it will give you a list of other papers to see. And I also advise you to pay attention to the brackets that are at the end of each, some of the sentences throughout the paper, because it directs you to a reference that is very, very pertinent to what you're reading. And it will provide you with either more information or it justifies what we were saying. So please do pay attention to those, and all you have to do is click on it. Anyway, this paper can also be found on academia.edu, and this is where this is. And actually, in this particular place, if you go back in here, academia.edu, independent, etc., you can see it up there, and with my name at the end, you will see the list of all the papers, and they're all here. And if I go further down, trust me, I'm going to get that paper. I'm not going to waste time. you can check on that. All right, so very good. The other thing that I wanted to tell you is that we do have a new channel now that these videos are in there. In fact, what you can see Elizabeth O Connell's last recital, which is right on top in here, and then there are a bunch of other people who have done this, and it's growing and growing and growing. And you might see some papers of some videos of interview from myself in there. Lastly, I wanted to tell you, oh, come on, don't give me some time. Let me get to it. There you go. You might want to check out our Facebook page. or group, which is called, that I speak on consciousness, creation, cosmos. Of course, the list is much more detailed than this. And it gets to everything, to dimensional systems, the edifice of cosmos, everything that you want is in there basically, including getting into your embodiment, morphogenetic system, genetics, physiognomy, and even into psychology, humanity, all this kind of stuff. But you can say they only give you so much room to put that. But if you go into the in here, which will be hard for me to, let's see if you can do that. Nope, I'm gonna get rid of this, and I can't do it on here. It's okay, no problem. If you go in there and read the what is it, the objective of the what is this? Get out of this. Objective of the site, you are going to find that it mentions a bunch of other stuff that you might relate to or have questions about. By the way, it also addresses in great detail now. I'm writing more about it on negative aliens, how they've negated our consciousness. So it's not just consciousness expansion, all this stuff, how it works in cosmos, how non-locally, locally, whatever. It also talks about how it's negated, how the negative aliens come in, what is AI technology, how they apply it, and all this kind of stuff. You're going to find that. So, but what I was going to tell you is that I had several of these groups, and I'm consolidating them into just one. The one that I showed you is just the one that you want to join. And let me just go back and tell you this, that there is an acumen in doing this, because if you take a look at this, you're going to find oodles of slides that I spend a lot of time to do it, because these slides are basically provide a very short account of a particular topic, concept, and all this stuff. And I think it's been very successful. I will ask Liz, who's always there, and she can probably elaborate on these things. In fact, I'm going to give this back to Liz, and I will ask you, Liz, to tell them a little bit from a point of a user. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I initially created these sites and stuff, but she can tell you a lot more. She's very adept in what's been going on. Okay, so here it is. Here's Liz, and I will be back when she prompts me to come back and respond to some questions that she might have, or if she feels there's some discussions that would be helpful within the context of this episode of this program. So I will leave it to Liz. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name is Liz, and I'm from Ireland, and I am an avid soul seeker most of my life. I came across Dr. Mohsen about a year ago, and I am very happy to say that we are now working together to help people with this information that is extremely important for everybody at the moment, especially those who feel that they are ready to move on from this plane of existence. Today, I'm going to talk about who are the fallen Melchizedeks, part 2, the astral plane connection. But before I do, I will talk about Dr. Mohsen's many groups on Facebook, and how we would like everyone to migrate, if you like, or at least add themselves to the main group, which Dr. Mohsen showed you earlier on the screen share. I will also be sending invitations to people to come and join us there. The other pages will still be open for a while, but we would like to create a larger community on one page on Facebook, and there you will be able to find so much information that you might be searching for yourself in regards to certain topics that have interest to you, or information that you would like to gain by asking questions. Eventually, when the videos get up and running more, we will be also doing videos where questions will be answered with a group of individuals who will be working with myself and Dr. Mohsen to try and help more people understand the true nature of themselves and who we truly are, and how to help yourself on a daily basis move through all the obstacles and understand what's really going on within yourself and also externally in this prison planet that we live in and on. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'm going to start reading the paper. So the name of the paper is Who Are the Fallen Melchizedeks? Part 2, The Astral Plane Connection, by Dr. Mohsen Paul Sarfarazi. The abstract. Contrary to the misinformation, disinformation, or paltering lies and deception found on the internet, surfacing under the general discipline of New Age spirituality, nowadays, the negative aliens do not only live in the astral plane, nor are confined to the lowest 4 dimensions. In fact, they originate from the Wessa system, comprised of the parallel, mostly Anunnaki, as well as anti-parallel, mostly reptilians, dimensions, going up to 10D. Indeed, this is what is meant by the Sephirot, or the 10D false tree of life that forms Metatronic consciousness reversal system, which is the impaled form of the 12D grid or universal tree of life. This means that upon their rank and hierarchy within their pyramidal societal structure, they can exist anywhere, typically up to the 10th dimensions. Yet they often prefer to lurk in the lower 3 dimensions that constitutes their feeding grounds. In fact, through their reverse spin light fields forming reverse particle spin matter fields, they can create hyperdimensional zones in the fabric of space that epitomize a form of space between space dimension. For example, the negative aliens often hang in and inhabit within the pockets in the atmosphere of the Earth that are referred to as hibernation zones. Think of these pockets as they exist in the reverse side of the curved space, say convex versus concave side, in line with what the author has introduced as the conjugate mirrored aspect of space-time, with one epitomizing the physical and the other the ethereal side of the same space-time. In this respect, it is akin to making a mini wormhole to reach the other side of the space-time, which provides a good hiding space, as one would be stealth and out of sight, whatever exists in the physical plane. The form of AI technology that is responsible to create the illusion of false white light is referred to as the Nibiru electrostatic transduction, or NET field technology. Through this technology, it is possible to create a shroud of false light through quantum reversal of spin of the fundamental particles of matter that encapsulates and clouds and distorts the natural organic holographic space and reality of humanity that is originally sourced from the base 12D grid or divine tree of life and is based upon the fundamental principles of the law of one. By effectively forming a kind of holographic inserts. This concept is akin to putting distortive lenses in front of a natural holographic projection of light that would refract or bend the natural light, effectively disfiguring the organic holographic reality, imposing self-destructive, mind-controlling impulses streamed upon humanity, and a great deal of nefarious work of the negative aliens in part of universal dimensional planes, and in particular Earth, is conducted via the astral plane that comprises the lowest plane of the fourth dimension. Accordingly, a brief account of the foundation of operation of the negative aliens that includes light mimicry via forming the false white light and its usage in order to lower humans into the astral plane for repeated cycles of futile reincarnations has been explicated. In this regard, visualize yourself as having a false umbilicus to the astral plane that after death uses an AI machinery that directs you to the astral plane through following the proverbial white tunnel that culminates in you reincarnating on the 3D earth so you can experience the same life sojourns of misery, pain, disease, aging, and finally reoccurring death, negating any possibility for your multidimensional consciousness experience or consciousness expansibility, and ascension to higher planes of existence. And all this epitomizes misuse of technology, effectuated mainly through mind control programming that condemns humans into a sleeper state, unaware of what's transpiring while one's precious divine consciousness energetics is being systematically harvested or siphoned for their consumption, leading to their survival and even longevity. Finally, it is explicated that through the benevolent interjection of the guardian founders, this futile cycle of reincarnation is now ending. And it is of paramount importance that via spiritual awakening and striving to attain enlightenment, you finally develop an appreciation for your incredibly advanced God's technology, marvel design of consciousness embodiment as the crown jewel of all this universal creation, by making at least a modicum of effort in order to live up to your incredible possible potentials as embodied form of God in whatever dimension that you may end up upon your ascension. Introduction, 3D Earth, the prison planet. The guardian hosts have now exposed the alien machinery that has been accountable for confining humanity and all Earth's life forms within an enclosed net, referred to as the Nibiru electrostatic transduction field technology. It was first anchored into Earth using the Nibiru diodic crystals temple network during the Luciferian rebellion in 25,500 BC. These nets are black hole technologies that were first created in the astral plane during the Atlantean cataclysm in order to keep all Earth's life forms confined in, effectively turning Earth into a prison planet. The net is capable of generating a high voltage electromagnetic pulse, EMP, that would literally fry a defiable entity on the spot in case of intending to boldly leave the Earth's space. The net fields were later fortified in 9558 BC and have ever since been blocking all natural communication to and from the Earth. By impinging scalar sonic pulses at the Earth's inner grid system, an interference pattern or electrostatic force field is created, enshrouding the Earth. Accordingly, the net has the effect of stopping incoming and outgoing signals, in particular those to the higher dimensions that were transmitted via the guardian founder races, etc., effectively creating a kind of quarantine for Earth. Surveillance of the human traitor elites, the Illuminati, by the crystal star families and the guardian founders were also blocked due to its scrambling effect that caused false readings, effectively cloaking the territory of Earth altogether. These nets were also traditionally used by the negative aliens for blank slating, consciousness wiping humanity via their false light machinery. False light epitomizes reverse spin light fields that create reverse particle spin matter fields. By blank slating the minds of humanity, this effectively puts them in a state of amnesia or unconsciousness enslavement, unable to decipher their true history and becoming unaware of what is transpiring. The net also can act as a shroud around the Earth's population, isolating them from any natural connection to one's inner consciousness and spiritual levels of higher selves. Effectively, this field system can interface with the natural consciousness, holographic reality of humanity, describing one's existence, and is thus referred to as a holographic insert. Through deploying these impulses that lead to self-destructive conducts in the human population, it is capable of practically engaging the mind of humanity in futile endeavors, leading to their derailment, blocking them from reaching within, and following the acumen of their heart or this inner spirit to attain spiritual enlightenment, which would otherwise lead to consciousness expansion and evolution. Thus, through mind controlling humanity, it can effectively stop humanity's evolution. In other words, the net fields are capable of effectively keeping the human genes blocked or locked in their chromosomes, incapable of ever opening up and activating because of the higher DNA strands will be essentially unplugged from one another and incapable of mutual communication. This effectively renders higher dimensional DNA strands becoming dormant. This represents what is commonly referred to as junk genes by the Earth's mainstream science. Furthermore, NET not only has the capability to interfere with the process of high frequency creation and mind advancement leading to ascension, it can also separate humanity from one's inner soul spirit, culminating in blocking one's innate sense of multidimensional consciousness. This traditionally created a literal mess in the astral field that is epitomized as false ascension matrix, comprised of all forms of mind control programming, causing a variety of addictions and self-destructive behaviors in humanity that were traditionally anything short of devastating. And the Anunnaki also intended to lower the net from the astral plane into physical matter, which would then form a frequency fence and present an easier way for mind controlling the human population during the ascension cycle. The net also connects to certain hyperdimensional pockets that effectively epitomize hibernation zones. To elaborate further on this, the false light, whose particles reverse spin, creates reverse particle spin matter fields that form hyperdimensional pockets in the fabric of space. In fact, there are certain hyperdimensional pockets in the atmosphere of the Earth referred to as the hibernation zones, in which the negative aliens often hang in there or inhabit them, that are the very result of net black hole technologies deployed during the Atlantean cataclysm time. And the prime purpose of these has been to mind control humanity in order to stop our evolution while we are blank slated and put in a state of amnesia or unconsciousness imprisonment. Furthermore, there's been some revelation with respect to repeated recycling of souls that have been occurring as a result of directing and routing humanity into so-called stealth consciousness traps that has remained undetected by the greatest majority of human beings. This again makes Earth a prison planet, and the whole process of effectively turning Earth into a prison and its human inhabitants being caught in a consciousness trap has been through the use of AI mind control programming and machinery that kept humanity in a state of amnesia as well as unconsciousness enslavement, being unaware of its transpiration. In effect, such stealth conditioning or mind controlling of humanity, especially as of the last few centuries on Earth, has been made possible through a well-financed machinery whose function is to propagate deception and lies through advertising, marketing, and the use of so-called words of well-paid-off experts who, in accordance with their negative alien masters, are in service to self only, deceiving people with their words of expertise. And traditionally, the most effective mind control programming that has been through promoting religious hypocrisy and superstition that has kept humanity not only in a state of low frequency light quotient, epitomizing ignorance, but also has kept them busy via engaging in futile wars emanating from negative aliens, divide and conquer strategy, and warmongering technique, effectively conditioning fanatic factions to indulge in anger, hatred, violence sourced from religion, religious, racial, eugenic, social, and ethnic cultural prejudice. At the center of this is the tyranny that surfaces by a way of appointing certain narcissistic, psychopathic individuals in service to self only, who, by fulfilling the most powerful positions religiously, financially, politically, are traitors who ensure that the nefarious agendas of their planet masters, off-planet masters, are well carried out on the earth and to their masters' full satisfaction. And this has been traditionally achieved through imposing oppression suppression by always inciting anxiety and fear in the public through mind control software programming that prophesizes doomsday religious Armageddon scenarios for being judged for their purported sins at the end of days, being condemned to the fires of hell for punishment. These mind control programs also incite and encourage bullying through oppressive, misogynist, as well as verbal, sexual, abusive conducts being inflicted upon humanity, especially during the earlier years of their lives, leading to victimization, in which a victim later becomes a victimizer, again fulfilling the negative aliens divide and conquer strategy. At the same time, it produces an automatic means for fulfilling negative aliens' nefarious agendas by humans themselves engaging in self-destructive conducts through victimization. This forms the basis for proverbially saying what goes around comes around. Note also that these nefarious AI programming are generally outsourced, not from this plane that is tightly controlled via paltering and propaganda, but originally from the off-planet sources that are effectively stealthed from humanity's insight as a result of etheric webbing that emanates from, so to speak, the other side of the coin. And to elaborate more, this refers to the energetic realms of the parallel and anti-parallel dimensions, the different worlds of antimatter, or the etheric realms that are of an energetic nature and therefore stealth to us, as our multidimensional senses have been severely blocked by the same oppressors via their AI machinery. Note that the negative aliens primarily originate from the parallel and anti-parallel dimensions of the Wesadak and Wesadrak systems, respectively, as well as they operate from the lower planes of the fourth dimension, referred to as the astral plane. On a better note, from the perspective of the Guardian founders, the net was dismantled in December 2020 from further operation. The astral plane. The astral plane refers to the very lowest portion of the fourth dimension. It's been known as many things: hell, purgatory, etc. It's alternatively referred to as the astral dimension and the source of corrupting the earth and humanity's soul matrix. The astral dimension, being in the fourth dimension and of the frequency of green energy wave, is linked to the earth's fourth stargate in Giza, Egypt, which epitomizes the heart complex of our planet. Accordingly, due to its complete infiltration as the headquarters of the negative aliens in the lower dimensional fields, and being located just outside the etheric plane of the third dimension and into the first layer or part of the fourth dimension, it is associated with a long history of Earth humanity severe soul trauma. In terms of morphogenic structure of Earth and humanity, this corresponds to the heart chakra and the soul matrix. Accordingly, the astral plane epitomizes the culprit source of Earth humanity heart damage. And it's also referred to as the Anubian black heart. Due to the damage inflicted and the resulting accumulated abnormal energies in the Earth's humanity 2D, 4D chakric energy centers, these lower energy centers have effectively become the repository for pain and addiction. Accordingly, the area of 2 to 4 energetic center in the earth and human body is commonly viewed as the pain body, which constitutes the source of emotional distortions. And contrary to ordinary being a center of natural processing and integration of energies to effect healing, the negative aliens have used this as a venue to fracture the human soul matrix energies, so energetic consciousness, expansion, and ascension to the second harmonic universe does not occur, forever condemning Earth and humanity to be confined in the lower dimensional planes of the first harmonic universe. Accordingly, this dimensional plane has become a prison planet for humanity and its other organic consciousness inhabitants. And the way they ensure this is through promoting distortions concerning the proper perception of gender roles, and with regard to the sexual acts that collectively lead to sexual misery, effectively maintaining humanity in the status of soul fragmentation. And as of more recently, in particular after World War II, these self-destructive tendencies have been exacerbated among humanity, leading to corrupting the relationship to our mother and father parent roles, the breakage of family, as well as the spawned host of other aberrant energies related to sexual promiscuity and gender confusion. And in terms of holographic aspect of our quantum consciousness vibration, this has been delivered via the astral plane to us through an AI machinery that imposes holographic inserts in the general form of mind-controlling programming that delivers self-destructive impulses, causing sexual misery, as well as frequency fences that cause gender splitting. And of course, with the tragedy of gender splitting, the requisite natural act of hieroskamos, sacred marriage between the two opposite gender polarities, cannot occur on a spiritual level, thus negating the process of ascension. The whole process epitomizes another aspect of consciousness reversal on Earth and humanity. And the gender splitting aspect of consciousness reversal and the obstruction of the process of hieroskamos also manifests at higher dimensional layers. To be more specific, such a gender splitting reversal pattern in the planetary locus brain is also imposed at the 7D level. The seventh ray, violet ray flame, is transmitted through the planetary seventh axational lines. Indeed, the planetary seventh dimensional axational lines constitutes the main disruption of the so-called false crucifixion implants that cause gender splitting and negating hieroskamos to occur. There exist heavy coordinate points that represent the intersection points between the fourth astral plane and the seventh violet flame and planetary locus, or the group mind, dimensional axational lines through which the energies cross and flood into the tributaries from the astral plane and the seventh dimension. And the false energy implanted in the seventh axational lines, referred to as the crucifixion implant, was feeding the false ascension matrix program that epitomized the astral mirrors of delusion, acting like a mirage. Thus, the fourth astral plane and the seventh dimensions, violet flame and planetary logos, or group mind, through their intersection, fed the levels of false timelines that brought about negative aliens' agenda of imprisonment, enslavement programming. Upon the hijack of these 4D chakric energy centers, false white light webbing, false consciousness grids, or false ascension matrix were eventually used on the earth to misguide and control human beings. The astral plane is equipped with the artificial intelligence program, which mimics and represents the artificial form of divine consciousness, but has the underlying mission to serve the needs and agendas of the negative aliens. It functions in the form of holographic insert that clouds the true divine holographic program that is light, and in the process creates energetic waste that is referred to as miasma, which is the cause of aging, diseases that eventually lead to physical death. The energetic waste brings about debris in the consciousness field, something akin to feces. Over the course of time, this energetic waste begins to adhere to our DNA, something that may be referred to as black goo, which is dealt to us. And in essence, black goo represents a distorted version of the carbon allotropes, the buckyballs that can bond our carbon-based DNA. Consciousness is a form of pure energy that is crystalline, coherent, and fully intelligible. It epitomizes divine light that, via the advent of Trinity, represents a form of electromagnetic energy comprised of three components: an electric field attributed to half spin of negatively charged particles referred to as electrons and anti-electrons, positrons, one spinning clockwise and the other counterclockwise. That via the expansive field gives rise to the advent of two conjugate mirror worlds of matter and antimatter, one dubbed as parallel and the other anti-parallel world. A contractive magnetic field that is formed symbiotic to the electrical field that acts orthogonal to the attributed to spinning positively charged protons and antiprotons, and a neutral field composed of equal number of positively and negatively charged particles that is the superposition of two magnetic and electric fields collectively referred to as the electrogenic field, which represents light, also referred to as 0-point energetic field. And artificial intelligence machinery attempts to mimic light or natural consciousness through software programming via mind control and holographic inserts, and frequency fences through etheric energetic implants that connect an organic being such as humans to the astral plane. Yet this connection that epitomizes a form of cord or umbilicus is non-organic, that attempts to mimic the natural umbilicus or connection of all organic consciousness beings to the God source, but redirecting them to the astral plane. In essence, this represents a false umbilicus that is a form of false light that is comprised of artificial network or grid that epitomizes a form of alien astral plane implants accumulated in form of many layers in the reproductive organs of humans and other organic consciousness beings that is easily interfaced with by the negative aliens. Thus, effectively, this implant interrupts the silver cord connection of humans to the higher dimensional spiritual realms, threefold founder flame of the universal time matrix, and ultimately to the God source. In particular, this form of false light blocks access to the spiritual bodies and into the higher crystals, organic consciousness in the higher dimensions of the avatar matrix. The false light is a product of mind control, artificial technology instituted by the negative aliens and their archon leaders. And this particularly comes into play during after death, in which the organic consciousness entity humans, having been long conditioned lifetime after lifetime through AI mind control programming, effectively has become separated from its inherent parent soul spirit and is directed towards this false light tunnel leading to the astral plane. And once a being is in the astral plane, the only place it can reincarnate is back to 3D timelines of Earth, which epitomizes the lowest dimension within this consciousness field that is the most digressed in terms of spiritual evolution. Accordingly, the individual keeps undergoing a futile cycle of forced reincarnation, life after life. Accordingly, this essentially makes Earth an effective consciousness prison, with its inhabitants being condemned to constantly undergo unconsciousness enslavement. The opening portal to the astral plane may be accessed through the 4D Stargate in Giza, Egypt, which as far back as Luciferian rebellion era at the end of the last ascension cycle had been under the control of negative aliens. Just through the 4D astral plane and its false light network structure attached to the group human soul layer of light body, in effect, there was false umbilicus for subverting soul consciousness into inorganic reincarnation recycling. This installed alien machinery infrastructure was used to repeatedly recycle souls into the astral plane. And the major mechanism through which this was achieved was through inciting and promoting sexual misery through mind control in order to collect human sexual energy. Note that such astral plane implants can be from current lifetime or stem back from other lifetime identities. Shockingly enough, we now understand that such implants could be created from negative form and cloned images in use in another dimension. Note also that almost all earthlings have such inorganic umbilicus connection or alien implants connecting them to the astral plane, which first must be removed prior to ascension. This distortion existing in the holographic architecture of human mental body limits the ability to experience the actual feeling of God consciousness. This false umbilicus is an implanted distortion existing in the third layer of the mental solar plexus light body that blocks the consciousness from experiencing its 5D divine intelligence and spiritual connection. This umbilicus was mainly responsible for keeping human consciousness recycling itself on the astral plane of reality without any possibility to explore other higher dimensions of consciousness. Namely, in this last cycle of 26,556 years, last course of ascension cycle, as human beings were undergoing physical death, the consciousness was directed by the false umbilicus. This is like a cord connection, which by being blocked from its natural course via the connected layers of the light body was leading to the white light tunnel and the astral plane. Since we were neither trained or had the knowledge with respect to the course of events following physical death, we did not have the understanding to choose right and strive to arrive in the spiritual plane and at the level that our belief system or vibrational frequency light quotient would permit us to do so. Accordingly, most all of us were duped and unaware of our alternatives, and as a result went back into the astral plane repeatedly for soul aspect recycling. As a result, we kept coming back to the same 3D Earth prison planet once again, repeating the very same karmic scenarios and traumas inundated with pains, illnesses, suffering, aging, and degradation. And to exasperate the problem more, over the course of repeated reincarnations, we started to accumulate negative karmic energies that became so immense. As a result, this gave rise to a new form of diseases arising from the accumulated abnormal energies. These deviant and unusual energies then began to break down our genetics. As a result, our dark matter core manifestation body template, and therefore our light body, as well as our DNA, began to deteriorate. Accordingly, this became the age of repeated cycle of karmic regression for our human species. And now, due to excessive deterioration, it needs re-encryption and recalibration. However, this age of repeated cycle of karmic regression and futile repeated reincarnation is ending. As a result, the holographic architecture of the core manifestation body, the light body, and the generic structure of humanity is being repaired. This means that distortions in our lower dimensional chakras, and in particular our solar plexus, is being cleared out, leading to healing of this aspect of our light body. with the advent of our true divine umbilicus connecting back to the God source. This epitomizes an expansion in our solar plexus, affording us to undergo the process of soul matrix embodiment in order to embody our true organic frequency, connecting us to the soul over soul light bodies, monad. Summary and conclusion. Psychotronic technology employs scalar wave formats that have carrier waves of thought control programs for or specific frequencies that rouse an automatic behavior in humans, inciting emotional or addictive conducts that epitomize misuse of technology for the purpose of mind controlling and enslavement of the public. The negative aliens also commonly utilize audiovisual artificial holographic inserts that trigger certain thoughts and beliefs in the people. For example, there is the use of mind control sleepers who are routinely used to create chaos, confusion, and mayhem in the masses. And what this entails is that it controls the bioneurological responses of these individuals, leading to their ensuing actions and behaviors. These individuals, often referred to as the targets, constitute human and non-human individuals deployed at multiple levels that encompass the military, businesses including large corporations, the shadow government personnel, egomaniacal world leaders, and even mass population within certain specific demographic areas. Make no mistake that our entire military is controlled by negative aliens. In this respect, there are certain groups referred to as black ops or members of the shadow government that carry out the agendas of negative aliens on the planet. Often, many spiritual leaders are directly targeted for infiltration. And if these individuals outright do not cooperate, they are then isolated, slandered, and even victimized for persecution. The purpose of mind control technology, effectuated in many different ways, is ultimately to foremost serve the reptilian negative alien agendas. This is an anti-human, anti-creational, anti-God agenda that is based on tyrannical, oppressive, patriarchal domination, whose ultimate purpose is enslavement and being plagued with unconsciousness while being subjected to parasitic, vampiric energy siphoning. Mind control programming is primarily reflected in the false ascension control matrix emanated from the astral plane and is further orchestrated in the galactic planes by the reptilian Orion groups and their consortium, collectively referred to as negative aliens. Most mind control technology and false ascension matrix are effectuated through arousing and harnessing the 3D levels of ego intelligence through thought forms and belief systems. But know that you can transcend this mind control and reclaim your personal sovereignty by exercising your right of free will. The 3D global mind control agenda was particularly accelerated since World War II and is particularly advanced considerably ever since November 2009 as a result of intensification of the war over human consciousness between the negative aliens and the Guardian founders. This is because the Guardian founders are here to free humans from consciousness enslavement procured by the negative aliens, while the negative aliens, particularly now their full-blooded reptilian factions who are trying desperately to hold on to their claim stake on Earth, perceiving by them as being their real estate and continue controlling as many human minds as possible. There is a saying that states, whoever controls the minds controls the soul. This is the negative alien goal, an agenda for the total domination of Earth and humanity. To become free of this, you must discipline your mind through understanding the nature of your incredibly advanced quantum organic consciousness, including its multidimensional and consciousness expansibility nature. And to appreciate the marvel of your embodiment as the crown jewel of all beings, and the finest example of God's incredible advanced consciousness mechanics technology, you must firstly learn about the nature of dark matter core body manifestation body, its morphogenics template, and your incredible 12D crystalline silica-based DNA structure via what the author has simply refers to as your bioenergetics and light body structure and its function to begin deciphering your possible astounding levels of intelligence. Learning about different levels of energetic intelligence increases your neural net and energy receivers to begin to perceive multidimensionality. And know this, you have a choice beyond this absurd system of mind control. Everything you need is already inside of you. All you need to do is to consult your heart. During the ascension cycle, the crystal star guardians are on a rescue mission to help you and the planet to ascend. They are trying to rescue all the lost souls, as well as liberate the souls on the earth from mind control. The least you can do is awaken to enlighten yourself about your surroundings, the nature of your consciousness, the marvel of creation and the cosmos, and in particular, the universe. You have embodied your consciousness to affect its growth by properly experiencing your intended sojourns of life in your reality. And above all, try to strive to live up to your incredible potentials. That's the end of the paper. And now we will have Mohsen back, and I have a couple of questions. But first, I would like to say how even reading this paper for the first time, which was a while ago now for me, actually helped me change some of the practices that I would have done regularly that I realized were obviously negative alien implants affecting me. And I think it's very important for people, especially people who've been, if you like, practicing some form of spirituality or religious belief for a long time, to understand that the practices you're using are definitely not connected to the real God source. And we must understand, as much as we may have liked these practices, and I would, from personal practices that I would have done in the past, I would have come from a pagan background, so I would have done practices on the moon cycles, on new moon and full moon, and maybe also done certain rituals, which I definitely never have done any blood rituals or anything, you know, where I never would have killed an animal or anything like that, that Satanism would practice. But nevertheless, I realized that the deities I was calling on were not who I thought they were, and were really affecting not just me, but anything else in my home life or in my personal life, which could have very easily got out of control. And as nice as some of your practices might be, it's definitely time to really come away from anything that isn't coming directly from inside your heart when you're connecting to God. And that's just a statement I want to make. If anybody has questions for me, I will elaborate more, but I want to keep the time on the video not too long, because Mohsen is a very gracious man. He gives us an awful lot of our time, but he's also very busy. And I would like to help him a lot. And I'm sure anyone listening to this video feels the same way. So the first question I have is about the false umbilicus. And what can we do? What is the best thing that we can do with maybe a daily practice, that, or even something practical that we can do to help us detach from this false umbilicus?
These are very, very tough questions that I wish I would have a perfect solution for it. Because what's happening is that it's part of your this essence of existence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, when you came to reincarnate, they gave you a package. You know what I'm saying? And you have to sign and seal basically for it to be able to be embodied and reincarnate here. Okay.
Yeah.
That, of course, they worked on you tremendously on guilt and shame and karma and all this stuff, telling you you've got to go back and fix yourself because you have this. They don't even believe in God. They don't even believe in sin. These nonsense they've come up themselves, right?
Yeah.
But they're all for humans. It's like death is good for the next, as long as it's for the next door neighbor. You know what I'm saying? So they don't believe in sin. They don't believe in all this pain, suffering, all these kind of stuff. Okay, those are the ways that they can extract loot from us. Blood sacrifices, all sexual deviances, all that, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So what I want to tell you this, and throughout years, when people have asked me these questions, I wish I could just give them the most beautiful answer, that it was totally 100%, you know what I'm saying, fail safe, you know what I'm saying? Like for example, I have a headache, here's take the pill and your headache is going to go away, or something like this, or even more than that. Anyway, you're hungry, here's a food, eat it, and you're no longer hungry, or any other needs you have. So anyway, what I was trying to tell you is this: unfortunately, apart from all the nonsense that you go through, right? The genetic mutations, the implants, mind control, come in a variety of forms, parasitic feedings, SPEs, and that kind of stuff. All this really tyranny that you go through, and all this stuff, as if it's not enough, as if even the miasma that's created through the AI technology, which creates a lot of diseases and all this stuff, is not enough. You know what I'm saying? As if the black goo and all that stuff, mutation of your genetics, is not enough. Okay. What they have done, this is the cheekiest thing that I want to write about this and distinguish this from everything else, which is same. It has a lot of similarity with genetic implants, and also the concept of miasma and mind control and all this stuff, or the certain frequency fences and implants. but it is a thing of its own. And when I tell you this, you're going to say, whoa, you know? And that is when you came in here, they created and put it with you, an AI form of you. It's called a shadow self. Okay? This is actually encouraging. When I finish with this, you're going to be happy. Because the shadow self is not a real personality. It's not an organic consciousness, it's an AI system. It basically lives in kind of black goo and all this, okay? But have you heard of double ganger before?
Yes.
Like we've had movies, right? And
Mhm.
stuff. The first time that, to be honest with you, I watched this 30, 40 years ago, and I said, what garbage to come up with, what nonsense to come up with. Because it's shocking to think you actually had a double ganger. And you know
Yeah.
what? You do. You
Mm.
do. That is your shadow self. Okay? That is part of it, which is really, really, distressing. But there's a positive part to that. The double ganger is dormant. Okay? It is implanted right in your coccyx, your
Your
tailbone.
tailbone.
So when you come in, there are 8 cells in there. They're
Yeah.
like flower, and then they grow, and then they become different organs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So right there, they piggyback these AIs in there. It's right in there. Okay, it's a reptilian. It's kind of your reptilian tail type
Is
thing.
it like, did you ever watch Stargate?
Oh yeah, all of it.
And I can't remember his name. He's from the other world, but he's got like a
I tell you what, I know Stargate very well. I have the whole series and I've watched them.
Oh wow.
I don't like watching this garbage that comes out. Okay,
No.
every year or so, I go through the entire Stargates and Stargate
Yeah.
Atlantis.
Doesn't have I wouldn't have say per se been an avid follower like yourself, but I would have caught some episodes. I would have.
I just enjoy it. If I'm going to sit there, watch something, I'd rather do this
Yeah.
because you speculate on things that are so close.
Yes, but that's what got my attention when I was watching it, is that his name was Tilk, right? He
Oh, yeah.
had he had an implant, but he managed during the extent of the series, he managed to have that removed and still survive.
Yeah, they came up with that drug that would, because, those Guauld, right? The
Yeah,
Guauld.
gold. Yeah,
This is so interesting about these programs because although they are put in a fantasy situation and all this stuff, they
yeah,
don't know how they even let these things go through because they have parasitic things. They have all the elements that are real to us. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But they show it in such a way that you look at it and say, "Oh, fantasy, sci-fi, all this
Mm,
stuff." You know, you're talking about parasites, right? Well, those parasites,
yes.
they're similar in concept. They're the same sort of things. You know what I'm saying? But to answer your question on that particular thing,
Yeah.
is that Kilk had that, and they created these beings that they're called, what are they called? What's the term they call for those Jafars? The Jafar.
Jafar. That's it. I was trying to think because they looked Egyptian, right? Yeah.
So actually, a lot of it is actually come from Egyptian. Those Stargates a lot about the Egyptian stuff. There's a lot of correct things in there, but they've changed them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're not history, but they give you indications of what was there.
They give you some information. Yeah.
So, but anyway, going back to your thing, is that first of all, answering your thing about the Stargate, yes, those are parasites, and they come in and control your body. I mean, the Gwawul that do this, and then they have this Tokras who are supposed to be nice and share the body with you, right? And
Yeah.
then of course, once they come in there, because first of all, it's just through the stomach they go in, because they make
Yeah. That button. Yeah, this is what made me think about the umbilicus, like the false umbilicus.
Yeah. No. You know, you can stretch things, but okay, let's just jump into it. If you're happy with Stargates, we stop talking about Stargate, because I can talk to you about Stargate.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. It was just something that came to mind.
I actually, you know, listen to me. I watched Stargate 10, 15, 20 years ago. In fact, my wife bought the series for me because I liked it so much. And I have it right up there, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, they went like, whoosh, like this, my head, okay? So even the second time that I did it, when I started writing about cosmos, I paid attention. Because a lot of technical jargons, I'm sure everybody, I mean, including myself, who's a very technical person, right? We just say, oh yeah, black hole this and that this, and you know what I'm saying? Timeline this and all this kind of stuff. So I never took it seriously, you know? And I didn't even listen to it, care for it. I'm going to tell you this. Just recently, I went through the Stargate again because my son says, Dad, let me put those things for you. Actually, they're all over the, what is it, the internet or whatever, the satellite, or what is it called? Internet, I guess.
Streaming, yeah.
He says, Dad, when you do this, at least you pay attention. Don't fall asleep, you know, and you don't waste it because you're paying some attention. And I can watch a few episodes, binging them, but I can't go on and on and on. Anyway, telling you about this is that recently when I watched this, oh my God, I saw this. They're actually talking about phasing and makes sense as if they know what they're talking about. When that Samantha, Sam, the doctor,
the doctor.
She says some interesting stuff about the parallel dimensions and stuff like this. And I swear to God, I had no indication of these things. I actually asked to myself, I said, could it be you're getting information from Stargate subconsciously? And I said, nah, because I never paid attention to that. I always said, yeah, you know? And I know myself, if I don't pay attention, it doesn't register, you know? And everybody is the same. So anyway, now when I watch some of the episodes, oh my God, I see that there's a lot of acumen in what they're saying. They're correct. Because the writers, they got good sources. These were people who have dealt with the negative, with the aliens, like Gene Roddenberry from Star Trek, for example.
He definitely,
He was a journalist sitting with the Majestic 12 while Zetas are sitting right there. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the Greys were like this. We're talking about all these other beings and all, you know what I'm saying, reptilians and all this kind of stuff. So he took a lot of these ideas and then he fictionalized it nicely. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at it, for example, what is it, Klingons. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're misogynists. You know what I'm saying? They're patriarchal.
Yes.
They have it's all this stuff about honor regarding war and conquest and dying for
the warmongers,
and the warmongers and all this. They have Cardassians. They have who are the other guys? I've been recently watching it, so I remember. No, what's the other one? Not Vulcans, the other ones. Should come back to me.
Ferengi, is that?
Oh, Ferengis are interesting, take on it, because they are into money, they are into profit, money, They're also misogynist to the end.
They all run taverns, yeah.
Women can't even dress.
Still male chauvinists, yeah.
All of these have them. This is interesting. They're all patriarchal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Except the humans, of course. The humans who have grown and come to the 24th, 25th century, you know what I'm saying? They're beyond it, okay? And that's where the mastery of humanity shows that, you know what I'm saying? We're not conquering it. I mean, we've gone through it, we threw it away. Hopefully, that is the future for us. That is when people frown on wars. Not only don't want to go there because they don't want to get killed, but they frown upon it. They say, stupid to do this because it is absurd. But anyway, a lot of those things in there are very interesting from the point of humanity, psychology, sociology, that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're extremely interesting. They all have parallels. You really can put it all together and write a nice book or essay because they bring it from humanity, they put it on these other creatures, which I'm sure they are like that. There are creatures out there, you know, and they are. I know some of them, they are actually, you know what I'm saying? The reptilians, you know,
I know they're out there.
reptilian races and how they are, you know, I mean, their brain, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me tell you this. Let's go back to this. So it's interesting. And some of the things I want to say, those people who really take, I know that a lot of people shy away from my quantum mechanics of cosmos creation, true consciousness, quantum consciousness, sentient vibration. You know, I'm bringing it little by little to them, but you know, tradition is just like they don't want to look at it, and it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
And right now, they're showing a much more interest in ascension, informational type things rather than abstract mechanics, concepts, which I always bring, no matter even any question you ask me, I'll go to the concept. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ask me is what is cloning, how does the AI technology works? Because it's technology, it's science, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's go back there. If you're happy with this talk that we had about all these, and I'm glad we did this, it's very refreshing, should be for people. The only thing that I say is that next time when you look at this, find analogies. You'll find a lot of negative aliens in these aliens. They're not the same sort of negative aliens, although they might have something in one episode in there as vampires and this, but they they share a lot of characteristics. Okay. The other thing that I was going to tell you, especially in Stargate, now some of the Star Trek, and those are the only two I recommend. You know, the Stargate gets into some good stuff. Phasing.
I haven't watched it all. So I should. Yeah.
Well, they're very close. They're very close to what I have introduced. And I'll tell you something. When I say they're very close, they're in a very fantasy way, you know, understand.
Yeah, no, I understand, but it gives a visual that can help people then absorb the information back.
Yeah, I mean, for example, they had the episode that suddenly that they had a machine that they got from the old time, you know what I'm saying? And this machine was distorting the phase. So basically things you would see these animals, you know, like butterflies, big caterpillars and stuff coming into our field. But they explained it beautifully because they were talking about phasing out, phasing. You know what I'm saying? The frequency might be even about the same, but they're phasing. That means that you know, we rotate about this. You spin about we move this about 1 degree. There are other things in there. Now, if you phase back, they appear in our life. You know, this is something that I said 30, 40 years ago. to my children that laughed at me. I said, you know, you're sitting right there. There's another one of you sitting right in there on the couch. I said, Dad, you watch too much of this. You know, you're always in the what is it, in the space and all this stuff. And they didn't have any good programs then, but you know, I watched some of the Carl Sagan and stuff, which didn't come to anything. But anyway, let me go back to this. Let's go back to shadow selves, because this could be very interesting for them. And one day, pretty soon, I'm going to write the paper on shadow selves, and one of you guys are going to recite it, and we're going to.
Yeah.
This is a good overture, introduction to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, these guys have copies of you, clones of you. They're not real. They're digitized AI, but they're right there. Excuse me. They're right there in your cassettes where you come to incarnate. You know what I'm saying? When your soul, when your morphogenetic system comes in there, they put a layer right on top of it, so you're not alone. So I'm going to tell you something. If you think you're alone, you're not alone.
I know. I know I'm not alone. Yes.
You know what? And the disturbing things is that, listen, when I was in college in England, I came across these people. They all thought that they're possessed. And they were Catholics. They were scared of exorcism. And those movies came, The Exorcist, and they made a bunch of those movies.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
Anyway,
but in my path, in my spiritual path, I've come across it too. Yeah.
Well, not being even from, you know, this kind of a religion background or believing in Catholicism or anything like this, to me, it disturbed the heck out of me. And I said, you know, this is makeup. You know, this is this. You know, why do you think about this? Why do you care about this? I was drawn into it. You know what? It was all part of the reason I'm here. Because I know I was going to fight them. I knew I was going to describe them. Of course, at that time, I was a young man, 16, 17, 18 years old, you know, and I didn't know what was going on with me. It's just this palpitation, this, I'm just thinking, my family, I think, looking at me and they say, is he going crazy? I am so thinking all the time, trying to figure out that this thing about another soul taking over you and all this kind of stuff. Because to me, God is, I mean, and then I was disgusted to a point of even throwing up that they would equate Satan to God. You know, as it's a polar.
No. Yeah.
It's a disease. It's a virus, but God can just takes care of all. It doesn't want to do it because it's part of its body, and always wants to fix things. Doesn't want to annihilate anything. And this is what's going on with us. It's very unprecedented because they didn't want the universe to fold. I've written about these things. And we are the ones who are the connection. Because once we become avatar, we're connected to the 0 point field. Open loop comes. Energy comes through us. You know what I'm saying? So they decided they don't want to fold this because they created us as a fail-safe. So they're going to jack us off all the way up to becoming avatars, connect to God, and it becomes an open field again, open loop of energy, as opposed to this closed bi-wave type thing that is in a tetronic and all that stuff. And, you know, all right? We should talk about these. We should bring those papers out. And some of them
we definitely should.
We've talked about them a lot. I've written tons of stuff to publish them.
You have. You've written.
So I have to publish them. I just need to go in a corner and just don't do anything. Just write these things. I mean, it's going back in the boom, boom, boom. And publish it one a day, you know? Because they're all there. They're written. Anyway, forget it.
So
Going
the
back to
best thing for anyone who is just coming to this information, say recently, it's all just starting to surface for them, and they may have been on certain spiritual paths. Would you recommend that you discard ritualization and just concentrate on meditation within your heart space?
let me finish this, and then that comes exactly to your conclusion. Okay.
Yeah.
For the beginning. The shadow self is a very problem. It's not some implant you can pull out. It's not a blank tool you can do this. It's part of you.
Yeah.
You have to be re-encrypted. When you re-encrypt it, everything just starts new. It's like rebooting a computer. You know what I'm saying? Now, these things, the good thing about them is that they don't come on the surface, and only at low frequencies they start becoming alive. You know, you've seen even movies, they say activating the nanites in a body.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But these are sort of like nanites, but they're not quite nanites. You know what I'm saying? They're not quite nanites, you know? Are you with me? But
Are they like carbon molecules? Like
they're distorted, they live. Their information that's embedded. You know how they make chips, for example, that
Yes. So they have some kind of memory ability as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they have that. They've taken the carbon. I've written again black goo. I don't know why I'm not even putting it out, because
a lot of people understand the black goo concept.
Yeah, because I've talked to them a lot. I've said that before. But I've written a paper on black goo. Actually, I went so deep into it, into carbon allotropes and fluorines and the buckyballs and all kinds of stuff. I had to even do some research because I'm not a chemist, you know what I'm saying? And all the stuff, and it all came together. So, but okay, they live in black. They've programmed this sort of a carbon. It's not carbon. It's allotropes of carbon, which they're like carbon, but they're different carbon. They're different forms of carbon. I don't want to get into this. Okay, all right. Now we talk about it when we're in black goo all the way through it. But anyway, so as you said, they have programmability. So they have AI sort of memory. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's sitting. It's an information sitting there. Okay. It's kind of like a toy that's there. If you have a remote and send the right frequency to it, it starts walking. So they're like that. Now, the good thing that I promised you at the beginning is the following: keep away from those frequencies. They're dead. They never exist.
Yeah.
They don't even, they're as good as not existing. Okay.
It's like I don't really get it much anymore, thankfully, but I would have definitely in the past. The negative thoughts in your head that then they turn you into a very dark person. You do something really bad.
They can possess you, even take all over you as demons and all this stuff. They call demons. It's all energy. It's all control of energy. Everything in the entire cosmos, life is energy. Consciousness is just energy.
Just energy.
I think I'm probably one of the first ones who talked about consciousness, the quanta of energy, torsionated vibrating. I think I'm the only one who said that. I don't know. I mean, people have talked about frequency and things like this from some old knowledge or whatever, but nobody understood the mechanism. And see, this is another thing. I've got papers on sentient vibration and quantum consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Karma and entropy, syntropy. There's a lady now who wants to come in. She's doing a PhD degree, and she wants to write a thesis on this or whatever. Is she
read those papers for you?
I'm sorry?
Will she read those papers then?
Oh, she's going to read the papers, but she's pushing me to publish the book. She says it's all there. published it. Well, she's a very intelligent young lady. She has a PhD. She's getting a PhD. She already has a bachelor's, master's, and an
Yeah.
advanced master's. So she's a real scholar. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? But you know what? She's not the type of scholar who goes, actually, she's got some finance and economics background and stuff. This doesn't want to deal with it. She's into consciousness and into love. Love as a science.
Yeah.
Love itself is energy, and energy is science. You know what I'm saying? Are you with me? But anyway, let me go back there again. So the shadow selves you can control. The problem is that shadow selves, they're not just there by themselves. So they've put, from let's say from Moon, they have been targeting the sexual organs of women and also men. We know about the menstruation and all this stuff, which is part of that. And people go crazy during Moon. They have to have,
Oh, I know. Yeah.
and all kinds of other self-destructive stuff. Sexual is very, very high because it leads to procreation. When you are at the climax, the energies through your energies, both partners, come to a climax so it can create a new body. You know what I'm saying? You supply a body. It's the most important thing. The other thing is blood, because when they spill the blood, your blood has all the spiritual energies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Have you heard say bad blood, good blood? This is all, let me tell you this, it's interesting. The language, the vernacular that we use is very precise. My inner voice, my inner light, this. Everything means something. Are you with me?
Completely. Yeah, I understand that.
It has a very refined thing. That's why I deliberate them words when I say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The knowledge was here. They used to call it Keylontic science at the time of Atlantis. People were free to it. Everything that I'm trying to put together and bring to you was ready on discs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Knowledge was there. Okay. Now, granted, they wouldn't make witches out of everybody and tell them how to alchemy and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the Magi kings had control of those things.
Yeah.
They were the God's representative. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
Yes.
going back to this is that then you've got these SPAs or parasites that they come in there. They agitate you. They bring your frequency down, and whoa, the shadow self takes over. Okay?
Yeah.
What's the answer? I've been saying this very simply. Keep your frequencies up. No fear, no anxiety. Pain is fine. Pain, it's not fine. I'm not trying to sound like some flagellating. What is it?
Sometimes it's unavoidable,
Yeah, but perseverance will resolve.
You might have a hereditary medical condition that's going to cause you pain.
Listen to me. If you're very sensitive and have high frequencies, the chance are very, very prone to getting hurt. I've been like this all my life.
Yeah, me too.
I said all my life through primary school, high school, all this stuff, even university, people bullied me to hell. You know what I'm saying? Because I just can't. I understand that evil, and I could probably use it too. I can't because I can't. But intellectually, I can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't fight back, and sometimes it just comes in to pulling your self together and standing up and say, I have become like that. Like people who talk to me and they have all kinds of problems. I now tell them, you got a problem. I see your problem. I feel your energies and stuff. Don't give me garbage. You're going towards narcissism. You're going to selfish. You're going this. You have agenda. You're coming to me. All this stuff. I'll tell them that. you know, and I don't think that's,
You're,
and you know what? I've had the same
you
people
should.
turning around and really become good because they don't know they're doing it. There's so many people who want to help nowadays with this movement. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yes, I do.
But you know what? They write a book, they feel important, they you know, they start making money. Oh wow, this is easy money and all this stuff. They get corrupted. And negative aliens are pretty good, you know? Anyway, so you keep your frequencies up, you dismiss everything. Okay? But I started out saying I wish I could give you a pixie dust. So you would so you would just boom boom dissolve the shadow self, but it's part of your incorporation package. But I have a good news for you. It is going.
It is.
Because the aurora encryption, you know, everything AI is gonna die. Because first of all, when you starve it, what's it gonna go? What's it gonna do? AI.
It can't survive.
Listen, AI may have a reality to us because it's made us suffer, all that stuff. So it's only real because we are real. Okay? When we cut that energy off of it, it dies off. It can't exist by itself. That's why Satan doesn't exist. I mean, there's no such thing as satanism. It's a Gestalt. You know what I'm saying? It's a female Gestalt. It's the opposite of divine feminine, mother. See, this is another thing about these negative aliens. Everything they steal from God and they go boom, 180 degrees apart.
They reverse it, yeah.
Reverse. So they don't come up with anything. The only thing that they've come up with is evil. They've come up with evil. But you know what? It's been it has developed. It decayed. You know what I'm saying? They turn into something else. You look at everything exists on this planet. Every concept that I tell you that looks so complicated, it exists. I can bring you the analogy. What I told you is just a good look out there and then see what happens when these what is it, worms and all this stuff come out of the flesh, and when it decays and all this stuff. It's the same thing. But this one is more energetic. It doesn't, it's not just a physical sense conversion of energy from one form to another. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, have I answered your question, Liz? Are you happy?
Yes.
Because again, to put it in is just we are going there. We're going home.
We're going home. We just stay in our heart.
We're going to go home. Some of us are going to go quicker because we're up to that frequential level. And it's not like they are discerning. There's no hierarchy in here like it exists in the negative aliens. There's no pyramidal structure. None of that's garbage. It's simple mechanics, simple physics. Okay, I can take you to the 5th dimension, 7th dimension. But you're going to have to maintain yourself. If you drop your frequency, boom, you descend back into the 3rd dimension. See? So some people are, and it has to be deep inside. It has to be you. So everything I say, you may like it, you may admire it, you may share it, you may just understand it, make it your own. No, I'm
practice is important.
I have no. You're good. This, by the way, I want to tell the audience, this lady is this is why she's here, and I'm working with her because she has the proper attitude. You know, one thing I tell you about this lady, she has no worries about herself, about anything. She's accepted everything that's come into it, but she's not at fault. She's moved above it. There's no games. There's nothing. You've gotta take this power of yourself, because you're a magnificent being, but you've got to apply it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No guilt, no shame, no,
Yes.
no, and at the same time, no self-hatred, none of that. And this is not cliche. Gotta put that into practice. Don't take this and go there and sell it and make some money.
It's a practice.
Become a guru. Don't do that. First, apply it to yourself.
No, I agree. No gurus. You can do it yourself.
So,
you can set yourself reminders.
You know, somebody can, you know, we all have to give service to each other. Somebody can help you by we all learn from each other through an analogy, through watching somebody, you know, experimenting with something and even failing. I'm not saying it's good to see people fail so you learn, but if they fail, let's put that energy, learning energy, to good practice, so we avoid it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, bring me something else. You know, I try to be as extensive so you own the thoughts.
You're very extensive. Yeah, that was.
I hope you don't think I diverge or derail. You know.
No, you don't.
Try to answer the question like this, not like boom and get away. It's easier to do it that way. That's why I get drained every time my children question. You know, I go through this, and sometimes, a lot of times, I saturate the heck out of them. They said, "Dad, we just called you to see how you are," and 1.5 hours. But you know what, boy, they changed. Because I didn't do these to them 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I always encouraged them to be good scholars, good learners. They all became valedictorians or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I told them chase the buck. You know what I'm saying? But I always said, you want to be a doctor, you got it. You want to be a lawyer, you got it. You don't have to worry about it. So they just went through everything they wanted, you know? But I didn't talk these things because I wasn't awakened. It was all internal. You know what I'm saying? It was there. No, my children, if they're here, they're going to tell you, Dad, bull, you didn't talk. You didn't say. Because I did. I did talk spirituals, but not to this organ. I mean, this is a clarion call. This is a task. You organize papers.
You've done amazing work. Look what you've done in 10 years. 10 years, you've, you know, the information, and you've
I probably lost three years there, though.
Well,
because I had to take off. I have to help my wife with her clinic. With her clinic.
Yeah, you have a life. Like, you've got an earthly life to look after too.
Yeah, but anyway, everything is purposeful. God is there, and you know what? I told you this. Close your eyes. Go right in.
Go right
in. Target the 0 point field. If you don't get into the 0 point field as an avatar right now because of your body, because of all this stuff, you have to go through processes. Hieroscamus, you know what I'm saying? You have to be androgynous. You have to, you know, all this kind of stuff. And they have different levels. There's 3 levels of it. You got to get rid of all this goo in your system. And I don't mean goo. There's all kinds of implants in you that it's forbidding you.
It could be lifetimes of stuff. Yeah, I know.
Well, but you don't have to. The help is here. No.
Yeah, well, I am working all the time.
The one thing that you need to have to do diligently is to understand that you have picked up horrible habits that don't come from God's world. They come from negative aliens.
Negative aliens, yeah.
Ego, elitism, this male chauvinism, all this stuff. Money, greed. I've talked about all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And recently, I'm focusing and telling you, listen, this comes from them. They made the mistake. Now they're packaging it, giving it to us to do the same because they want us to fail.
Of course they do.
If you don't fail, they don't eat. You know what I'm saying? They want,
Yeah.
us, they want us to relinquish our but you know, don't give up. Let's stay.
Oh, I won't.
I'm not talking about
This
you.
has been a long journey for me, and I intend to. I'm
not talking about you, Liz, okay? But that's good that you reinforce it and says, I'm not doing it and stuff. I'm glad.
I'm not giving up. I'm staying focused.
Yeah, you have a gift. You have with short acquaintances with you. You know, it's just that you're very comfortable with yourself. You don't.
Yeah,
You don't
I
have,
am.
You don't have fantasies about yourself. You don't try to make yourself feel good because you don't. You know, there's a lot of maturity. I'm proud of you, lady. I'm proud of you very much, and thank you today for this marvelous job that you did. You did, you know, and even next time is better. And you know,
It'll be better as time moves on.
it's just putting your mind into it and falling into the you need to do. You know, your next time you look, I'm pretty sure you looked at your video last time, and then this time you say, and I'll tell you what, there's always improvement because you're self-improved.
Always.
You know.
Yeah. Well, that's been me for a long time. I have, everyone has days where you might feel a bit off, but I know that's going to pass. And
I'll tell you what, yesterday I was sitting right there, and the person as disciplined as me and all this stuff, and I was sitting right there, and I said, I got dizzy. I was dizzy. I was on the computer, and I'm pushing. I wrote in my paper that we are reservoirs of energy. So I failed to do what I told you not to do, you know, because I get so involved. Yeah. And then, you know, I could not right away resynchronize, you know what I'm saying? Ground myself.
Yeah.
So when I got up, because I'm disciplined, I'm in control. Because there's no fear, anxiety, I'm fine. So I'm not scared anymore. I used to get scared because I wouldn't understand, why am I doing this? How I feel. But I walked to the kitchen, and I went around there to sit there where I usually sit there if I, you know, listen to music my son had played. And then I felt, whoa, you know, where does it come from? You know what I'm saying? When these things, especially now with all this garbage that's going on in the field, when it comes in there, be patient with yourself.
Yes.
Trust yourself. Love yourself with humility. Okay? When I say love yourself, understand that's self-love. Okay? And then when you love yourself, and then the other thing is just that remember that firm connection to God. It's kind of, remember when you're walking around, if you're dizzy, you grab something. But that's God.
Yeah.
Right there is God.
Yeah.
Is your point of support, which from mechanics I've described the same way with the spring. There's a support. That's God. Yeah. That's your soul, and this is your quanta mass. And you know what I'm saying. I don't know if you've been through those things. I hope you go. I know you.
I have.
But anyway,
I'm trying to understand the bigger, the whole dynamics of it. I want to understand that because in my life, I've seen it in pictures my whole life, but the words weren't there. And you've got it perfect.
Well, you have to bring you have to bring it to the surface. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's all there. It's all there. And you look at it with, acumen, and it develops. You know, a guy who's smart gets smarter,
The more time you put, the more you get out of it.
Yeah, and enjoy that, because that's every inch that's, is forward is good, Doesn't have to be, and don't do it's entitled, have to be there. People write to me, when is when? Ascension is when? About 20 years ago, I think, or 10, 15 years, I don't know exactly when it was. When I was in Colorado, I was giving a lecture in there, and this group of kids came in there. They were ready to order cocktails on the interdimensional spaceship when they take them to the ascendant. Look at the mentality. They think they're going to get on the ship. And they were thinking what cocktails they're going to be.
I know.
They're young. I mean, the girl was about 17, 18. And I said something and she didn't like me. But, anyway, what? Anyway, where are you going to go? I mean, it's an eternal life. It's all enlightenment. It's good.
Yeah.
You can be here and then you can be here again and you can be here again. It's the state of mind. It's the reality you create for yourself that gives you all that pleasure, joy, enlightenment, happiness, self-love, satisfaction, all this kind of stuff. Otherwise, you'll be running around. Where are you going? You think you're going there is going to be better? You're going to feel better? I mean, certain things, yeah, go to nature and equalize. If you pressure, you know what I'm saying? Your aura. I wrote about all this auric integrity.
Yes, I've read that. And it is a practice I do anyway.
I know you like that. That's great.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
If I could, Ireland, you could get 4 seasons in one day, right? But if I could just put a tent on the beach, I would live there. But the tent mightn't stay up very long because sometimes we get you get massive storms here.
Simplicity, nature.
Yeah.
And then that feeling of self-security, not in a narcissistic way, in a way that I'm right there with God.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel.
There's nothing better.
No.
Nothing better.
Nothing. Just smelling the sea air.
You want billions of people to come in there and pay homage to you, so what? You want trillions of dollars. One of the guys actually made a comment just recently, you've probably seen it. And he was trying to support what I said, and he said, "Good, great." It was something about guardians, and he said, "It's just about time that they come in here and kick these so-and-so asses that they took trillions of dollars from us." The heck cares about the $1 trillion from us? I mean, when I look at the cabal, the money is the last thing that comes to my mind.
Money's not even real. It was designed by them. They designed it to enslave us.
No, but listen, okay, so $1 trillion from there, we give it to you now. That's it?
No, I wouldn't be
That's
bothered.
your spiritual movement is about. That's your ascension is about. They're so lost.
It is lost.
Yeah, but he's trying, you know what I'm saying? And,
it's a start, you see.
It's a start.
First step. There's a lot of releasing, and I think men have a lot of those implants that associate themselves to war and money. It just goes along with masculinity.
Money has to be gone totally.
Yes, I agree.
When it goes, it's like it comes out of our neck, our hands, and we get freed. Money is the first thing.
Yeah.
I tell you something, Rose. I can love everybody. I just love to be in people's consciousness. We always, like when I was 3-4 years old, I was always like this. I would come into the room and would just brighten up the room. and I would go away. It's just like, what happened? Where's Mohsen? I'm not kidding you. I mean, please don't think that when I was a kid, and I was always the youngest member of the family. But anyway, yeah. What I want to tell, I forgot what I wanted to tell you. This it was a point of nostalgia. Yeah. What you need to do? Oh yeah, you have to like people, and you put up with them, and you.
Yeah.
I don't want to even say put up with them. You persevere and stuff, and you think that they are going to go and change and be better. Believe me,
Yeah.
our group was not like this 5, 6, or 10 years ago. I had trolls even. I had, all this stuff. You don't get that at all.
No, because everybody is searching now. They are.
Yeah, it's getting better from that point of view for sure. And I tell you, but the one thing that I don't put up with anyway, after all these years of softness and this, let's not fight with this, okay. And then, I mean, I tell you, I wasn't perfect. 10 years ago, I would get angry. I would just,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't get into swearing fights or anything like this, but I would block them. You know what I'm saying? But, which was actually, I was told by my children to do it because they would see that I'm so upset. Because I'm thinking, I'm trying to do something good, but why are you trying to attack me? What am I doing? Okay, your opinion is different. Good. You learn when, but the thing that I don't put up with when they come in with all no attitude, they don't want to change. You know what I'm saying? And they have so much defense because somebody's saying something different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Defense.
it's reflected in religion, in politics, and all this stuff. No, we're all part of a unity consciousness, and it's going to take maybe 1,000 years for all people, appreciate that.
Yes.
Then it's the proverbial heaven, Eden. Eden, it still is. It's a gorgeous planet, and they're keeping it that way.
Beautiful. Yeah. I cry sometimes when I see the devastation that happens because of human progress, so they call it, but it's not.
They're going away. They're going away. I tell you what, they're going away because they don't put up with it anymore.
Yeah.
You said go in there, kill yourself. Learn. It makes it harder for you. Now it's just the point is that you're going to go the proper way, or actually you're not going to even reincarnate again. Will absorb. Why? What do you do when you have a garden? I'm surprised God didn't do this in the first place because didn't know. Probably God didn't expect all this garbage to come to this extent.
It's not. Well, you actually wrote about it in this paper. You say that, when they put in these blocks, it stopped the awareness moving. It stopped them also communicating themselves, but, so like with everything, there has to be a balance somehow. But, yeah, I don't think anything untoward of God. I don't shout and say, why did you do this? It's the free will aspect too, that's really where we're at with it all.
When I was a child, I adored life. And I'm sure a lot of kids were like that too. I remember I used to sleep on a terrace in our house. We had a big terrace outside, and we would go put these beds in there, and we would beg Dad to let us do this. And we had a big garden in the front, flowers and stuff. And in the morning, the smell of dew.
Oh yeah.
The birds singing.
Yeah.
The breeze. Oh God. And I would say, "Wow, another day."
I love it. Yeah.
What else? You know what I'm saying? You can go to that. And you know what? Now I'm looking at that and I said, I've been disappointed. because I've been pushed around, I have been, this, and this, and this. And I said, all of this, it's a good thing. I always walked away from it. You can't forget it, but you forgive it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I walked away from it, and all this stuff. But I'm telling you this, when you think of that, thank you, God, for giving me consciousness. Thank you. So I can enjoy this. And you know what? May not have money, simplicity, but you know what? Love.
Yeah.
Really mean it's love.
Yes.
I mean, it could be anything. I mean, you and me can go and have a cup of coffee. I was longing for that when I was 16 years old because there was always this dating things. And I would get hit when I was in college, actually, with two girls showing up at the door.
Young, going to college.
Huh? Yeah, they would show up at the door to just meet me because at the college they couldn't get a chance to talk to me, So, and my, anyway, the lady who was wonderful was like my mom, basically, in there because I was a lodger in England, when I was in college. And he would say, Mohsen, go in there, go in there.
Yeah.
To introduce us and all this. Didn't want to because I like to listen to the music, classical music. I love Mozart and Beethoven. And, I enjoyed it. Staying there by myself. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that at that point, if I thought I could relax through this and enjoy it, or take one of those girls' hands, or two of them, whatever. I mean, that doesn't matter. And I would take him to a coffee shop there and sit there and talk to him for 2-3 hours, looking at him, talk to him like two human beings meeting their consciousness field.
Yeah.
This is why when I look at people, I see a conscious person first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. The rest, and this is how you have to do this. I mean, we're coming to that. I hope that the stuff that I'm saying germinates some good
absolutely
things in people that's there. Because I've tried to bring the knowledge out of them. Now I'm trying to bring this sharing me because I'm just like slippers. And if I feel like that, they can feel like that, I mean, I could have a very evening simple in here with my son. And it's just adorable. And you see my son who just prowls around in there. And I mean, yesterday, for example, he cooked a beautiful meal for somebody, all this stuff. I mean, this is what life is about: simplicity, and then you expressing your love, and don't put any stopper in there.
No.
You want to express something, express, and if you don't feel good, that's fine. Find out why. Don't hide it. Don't try to look cool to the next guy. Hard.
I couldn't agree. If something's wrong, I have to say it. I've always been like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Liz, I think 40, 50, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, it was more like that. The negative aliens really have destroyed our stuff since 50s, 60s, People have become more depressed, more anxious, more concerned, more distrusting, more isolated from themselves even. That's just the most important. Anyway, we can talk forever. These are very, very good things, I think, to even speak to the public and our good friends. But if there's nothing else, if there's any questions, any comments you like to make,
no.
I noticed you
Sorry.
I noticed you didn't really get into nitty-gritty details of soul recycling, astral plane. The only thing you asked me was the umbilical cord. And the umbilical, oh, by the way, let me answer that nicely. Okay. Yes, the umbilical cord is that shadow self thing, you know, but it connects
I got that. Yeah.
It connects you right back to the astral field. I didn't say that. Astral field.
Okay, so that's the connection back. Well, I think the other stuff, as I said before, because these papers, they take such a long time to read. I would love people to bring forward questions for us and then do a separate answer the question time, because it does take up such a length of time, and maybe not everybody has. They might be watching this video in two halves, you know, because they've got to go and do something or whatever. But I definitely would love for people to come forward with questions themselves. I think for today, because of timing, we should probably bring it to an end.
Yeah, exactly. But and what I was thinking is that if they do that, if you do get people writing to you and texting you and stuff like this, we can consider doing a sort of a group meet. You know what I'm saying? Like 5, 6, 10 people, and you know, you may be more adept because you've read this stuff, you've matured, whatever. There are a lot of people who have questions with very little detail, you know. I mean, I've tried to explain everything, so you always.
That's what I said at the start of the paper, that if, you know, the answers you're looking for are in the paper, but sometimes you might need to read the paper 3 or 4 times. And also, like anybody who would be reading any kind of textbook, if you want to learn something, having a notepad and pen and writing notes, and then they might become questions, or you might answer those questions yourself just by rereading the paper.
Yeah, well, there are those people that I have answered one question, like what's holographic insert or stuff like this, 20 times, and still they ask the question. But there are probably people, you know, they don't always come in and they don't see it.
Yeah.
They see it here. So, you know, you're going to get that kind of people who will ask trivial questions because they didn't read the paper, they didn't pay attention to it, and all this stuff.
I understand that people have very short attention spans now, and that's a problem. But it can be worked on. You can rebuild your conscious ability to absorb information.
Mm-hmm.
You can.
Absolutely.
You just have to turn off your phone and give yourself an hour to read something. Block out the time, make it for you. It's something that's extremely important if you want to get into the right way of understanding what's really going on Earth, what's really going on inside of you, and how you connect to God and how you disconnect from the negative energy. And the information is all here for you, but you personally have to make time, and you've got to make it every day or nothing changes.
Okay, very good, wonderful. So if you guys will write, I would defer to Liz because she knows the paper, she's read the paper, I think she can answer all the questions, but I'm not pulling myself out of the equation.
No, don't.
But if they write to you and then you find out, you know what? No, I just don't want them to think that, hey, I don't have time for you. No, not like that. But anyway, if I would say, if they come a bunch of questions to you, take a look at it and see the ones that really merit really maybe going on a discussion, not somebody who's just saying, you're saying one, it says what, one, you know what I'm saying? Some you can just answer to them.
Just answer in a message or on a comment. Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying? But they might say, I've read the first 5 times, but I don't still have this question, those are the ones to get them.
Yeah.
One-to-one. And then if you want to go ahead and, it's up to you and have, those group sessions. And then, and I can come in, interject. After that, do all your stuff. And if something's still unresolved, which could be, because the more you delve deeper into things, the more questions you find.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And if it comes to that point, I'll be delighted to come in and at the end, what I'm saying, whatever answer this. So the ball in your court. And I have every trust in you, because I'm also thinking that in the future, probably you can just introduce these paper recital sessions and bring people. Now, I've got about 18, 19 people basically worked out, or they're in the works, but they're just trying so hard to find the right paper. And then they ask this and it's taken, and they want this time is taken. You know what I'm saying? It hasn't really, but I personally, I can't do more than 3, 4 of these a week, because
that's very hard on you. It takes up an awful lot of time, and then it will, it gets into that space that, you might need, to go and have something to eat and rest afterwards, because you've got to look after your body too.
Yeah, and the preliminary time, we can always, as we are doing, and spending a lot of time in that, get to know people, make them feel, and all this. So after that, hopefully it comes as question 1, answer, question 2, answer, question 3, answer, more in that, and they're so focused. I feel like I gotta go this to make a point. But when it repeats itself, you see the same people or whatever, it comes like this. Because you say, that. So yeah. That you don't need to explain that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'll leave it to you, and I think you'll do a good job. So
thank you very much.
Wonderful. Meanwhile, you're coming back for part 3.
Yeah.
I've scheduled that, or I'll check back with you, make sure times and all the stuff. And then there's some groups of other papers that are very, very important, like New Age spirituality, and talking about Galactic Federation, and
that's a very important one.
Yeah, and then also I was thinking, write something for them. Again, I've written notes and all kinds of things. These are the type of information that you kind of jot it down, because they're not conceptually to develop. But I do write them, just like you see with slides, I jot them down, become a slide.
Yeah.
But anyway, grays, zetas, necromatins, the abductions, my lab, you know what I'm saying? The great technology, moon, you should go back. I had a bunch of paper lined up for moon, and I did the first one to the lightest. And then I was going to go get into all the AI technology, and I've written them. Actually, there's about 4 papers or 5 papers on them, but they're not full finished. Boom, 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 and I'll go and finish those, and so we bring him up to date with this. Then, if they want to go and delve deep in consciousness and mechanics and cosmos, unfortunately, I've done most of my work in there. Because for years and years, being a mechanics, and
that's where your expertise is.
Yeah. I always thought I'd leave the psychology, humanity part to the end.
Yeah.
Because I started writing 150 papers on basically humanities, psychology. There were consciousness, there were other things. There were shorter papers that are really nowhere for you to see them, unless people, sometimes they put them online. They reblog them, or they used to be on a website. I don't even have time to go back to those, but you know what I'm saying? We can always write it, I don't I don't
We
have.
can revive old papers, you know, that'll happen eventually anyway.
Mm.
You know, as time moves on, that will definitely happen because everything you've written is valid. I was reading papers from 2012 over the weekend and it's still valid, you know.
Oh, no, there's nothing outdated. There's no,
No.
first of all, I don't say anything unless it's 100%, you know, it's kind of confirmed, you know,
Yeah.
with, you know, whatever, it's this higher self, the connection. You know, I started getting right away, what is it, attuned. There's no question. Because it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was coming to me. You know what I'm saying? Think of this, do of this. Back in 2011, I was told, write. I said, what? Write what? I was in Peru. And it says, write the book of Revelation, the book of creation. I haven't still done it, but I've done it. The papers all over on creation. Look at it. Go and look at the list. They can easily be put into 1, 2, 3 even books. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, those are the type of things, because I went to God. I started with God.
Yeah.
And then said, God is energy, energy of consciousness. So what's consciousness? Okay. Then creation. What is creation? And it creates cosmos. What is cosmos? Those are the, and I was guided to think that way. So I developed papers like that paper. You know what I'm saying? It's very methodically done. And didn't get into negative aliens. I didn't even want to talk about them. I knew about reptilians, all this stuff, and it was come to me, and I would see things, and of course there was a lot of information was there, but I couldn't take it seriously because actually most of the stuff that came there that I was rejecting it right there when I was reading it. Now I can write very abstract sense, which I'm going to do right now with duality, showing you how duality is a garbage. I've already written the paper on evil. Even write the second paper on evil. These are concepts. These are fundamental concepts to understand what is evil. You know, they might be philosophical, but the good philosophical stuff, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go, dear. Thank you very much for your time. You did a
And
great
thank
job.
you.
And
Thank you for all you do.
And you know, we're gonna, you know, be in touch anytime.
We will.
You know. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.